Hello and welcome back to the Full Fat Podcast with me, Matt Whittle, coming to you in slightly less than 1080p. I am, of course, joined by Mr. Charlie Lilly. Hello.
How you doing, mate?
Well, not very good, as you know, because usually this is a three-person podcast, and I regret to inform the viewers at home this week that Terry will not be joining us.
Move my car.
Alexa, you better stop, all right? Alexa, stop. Because I've had it up to here with technology in the last hour, and I'm not going to have it from you as well. All right? Shush. Right. The third microphone is broken. We found this out in the last half an hour. We've tried a load of alternate solutions, and it's just not working. And Alexa, stop. I'm going to be right back, guys. I'm just going to turn it off.
Okay. He's going to switch off. Matt's, he's kind of done with all this tech at the moment. You know, every week there seems to be some sort of issue that we're having. I'm sure everyone understands.
Right, okay.
What that's like, having tech issues. I was just explaining to the audience how frustrated you are with the technology that we're dealing with today.
It just decides
there's always
to stop
something
working.
every week, isn't there?
Yeah, every week, yeah. This week, we finished the finale. I thought we're just going to dive straight into it. But no, the microphones just decided to stop working. I mean, to be fair, Terry's microphone, I think, is the oldest one. So it was one of those mics that I reckon was going to give up the ghost at some point. And it's happened today, so wow, fantastic. But yeah, Terry will be back next week. Have no fear. We are not ousting her from the podcast because we mixed her too quietly last week. It's nothing to do with that. It's literally just a technical issue. And it's a shame.
No, it sounds like that's it.
It does sound like, it sounds like we fired her, yeah. But yeah, no, I love having both of you on, and I love the dynamic of three people. So it's a shame this week it's just the two of us. I'm just stuck with old Charlie. But we'll make it work, and we've got a lot to talk about and unpack. The Falcon and the Winter Soldier season finale, after, I guess, 5 weeks, because the first week there was one episode, even though there's 6 episodes. That makes sense, doesn't it? Over the last 5 weeks, quick maths, we've been watching Falcon and Bucky come together, and we've seen Sam's journey to decide whether or not he's going to take up the mantle and become Captain America. And finally this week, we saw him in his sweet new duds, kicking ass, taking names. But for me, I thought it was a bit of a disappointing episode. I think there's a lot of threads that tied up really in a really underwhelming way. There was 1 or 2 bits in it that I think were the real saving grace of the episode, which I think we'll probably get into. My main takeaway from it is I loved everything they did with Sam this season, and I love that he's Captain America, and I love that we got to see it all full regalia. They didn't hold off till season 2 to see the suit. But I just wish the threat and the plot resolution had been tighter.
I 100% agree. I'm a bit disappointed, if I'm honest with you. I feel like all the stuff, like you said, with Sam has been fantastic throughout the season. And I feel like this was like, if not one of the weakest episodes for me. It kind of just ended up being nothing, really. Just sort of wrapped up to nothing. And it's weird for a show that kind of promised us like this was the action equivalent, the action version of WandaVision was the more character driven stuff, and this was going to be the buddy cop action show. I must admit, I think the action stuff hasn't delivered as much for me. If anything, the character stuff has been the best stuff in the show, which I've been quite surprised by. And I don't know if you agree with me, Matt, but I just found that this episode, a lot of things got wrapped up in the first, half hour, but very, very kind of no real build-up, even though we've had all these episodes building up to something. It just kind of felt like it just all happened, and there was no real, I never felt any, tension or threat, really. Do you see what I'm
agree.
trying to say?
I guess a lot of it, this episode feels like more than any other episode hit by the reshoots and the fact they had to scrap the virus plotline, because even in the opening minute, it's all voiceover from Karli as they're gearing up to do something. You can just tell that they've cobbled together this plot that they're going to assassinate the repatriation council and all this sort of stuff, and it's just so weak. It's a real shame, because I think Karli represented something really interesting. Karli! in the show, and I really liked her dynamic with Sam, and I liked that he was trying less violent means to try and diffuse the situation. But it just kind of came to a head in a really unsatisfying way. I couldn't believe it when she actually died. I was like, that's that resolved. So that was really weak. But what I also thought was even weaker, and I'm actually shocked that this happened, was John Walker. John Walker all day this episode sucked. What? He did nothing. He did absolutely nothing.
Yeah, no.
And worse than that, not only did he do very little, but I feel like his journey was not served in this episode on where we've got him up to last week. He's become
100%.
a douche, and he murdered someone in cold blood, and he's done all these terrible things. And then this week, because Bucky and Sam had the same common goal to stop the Flag Smashers, he's patting Bucky on the back, and I know he saved that truck, but what with everything we've dealt with, in terms of the themes of the whole season, I don't think John Walker, after assassinating a terrorist refugee, or as Sam says, not a terrorist in his own words, but someone who is trying to find their place in the world after half the population have come back and he's been displaced, to kill that person and then save a truck full of rich, wealthy politicians that Sam later berates for doing the wrong thing. Just do you know what I mean? I'm not saying any lives are worth more than others or anything like that, but it just seems weird thematically that that's the people that he saves to say, oh, he's not all bad. It's what has he done other than serve the people at the top across the whole season? And that's supposed to be his redemption?
Yeah, it's very strange. I mean, I kind of wouldn't have minded him having, I guess some sort of redemption if, we spent some more time with it. But the fact it all just happened in this episode, even though the last episode we see him being a crazy maniac, do you know what I mean? It doesn't quite work.
Yeah.
I just found that was a lot of this episode. It felt very weirdly edited. There was a lot of everything just sort of quickly was happening, and it never really sat. You never really sat with anything apart from a few of the best moments in the show, best moments in the episode with more character moments that we're going to get into, I imagine. But yeah, I just felt that it was very choppy, and I never really got a chance to sort of be what's going on? Do you know what I mean? Do you know what I'm trying to say?
And it was set in New York, but it felt so TV. Other than the bits at the start where they were down a street, and other than the CGI plates of the skyline as Falcon's flying around, and the bit on the bridge, that felt very they were in New York. But the rest of it was just nondescript abandoned building site number 1. Now they've gone down this little quarry bit. It was all just crappy kind of TV sets. And the fact that the final battle and the kind of the final resolution between Sam and Karli took place in do you know what I mean? This backlit abandoned warehouse from John Wick was very underwhelming, I thought.
100%. I just found that it was all so this. It didn't feel like a finale. Do you know what I mean? It didn't feel like this is what we've all been waiting for the past 5 weeks. Do you know what I'm saying?
Interesting you say that, because I would say it feels like a finale to a multi-season show, and this is the end of season 1. But I think what we thought it was going to be was more like a mini-series akin to WandaVision, where by the end of WandaVision, it's all kind of wrapped up, isn't it? I can't see a WandaVision season 2 unless they're going to kill Vision off again and just going to find more sitcoms to go through.
But I think it's more in terms of it was the WandaVision was sort of driving towards something, and then the finale of it led up, was satisfying to that build-up. You see what I'm saying? All that build-up. Yeah, we got very satisfying character moments in this. For example, Sam and Isaiah having that moment towards the end of the episode, which was a great finale.
Do you want to dive into that now while we go?
That's what I was saying. I did, because it's hard to.
No,
I feel like I need to talk about that too.
Yeah,
talk about this sort of thing.
Because I feel like we've been negative for the first couple of minutes,
exactly.
And I don't want people to think there wasn't some absolutely phenomenal stuff in this. As you say with the Isaiah stuff. Do you want to field that one, my man?
Yeah, no, yeah. I just love that I just completely love that we set that, because it was just so surprising that he then puts him in the museum at the end, because it's that felt so earned, and that felt like a perfect note to sort of end the series on. And I thought that was brilliant, and I think it kind of also just sort of showed why Sam again is the perfect for Captain America.
Yeah,
he understands the importance of why these things need to be told. Do you know what I mean? Why this story needs to be shared. And giving Isaiah that closure, it was a moment that I thought was actually like, it's been a very weird show, because there's been things like moments where I'm like, oh my god, this really get into me. I can almost cry here. And then there's moments where I'm like, what was that? What was that? That didn't have any emotional backbone to it. But then you have obviously these great moments like with Isaiah. So I just feel a bit go on.
Sorry, I was just saying, I think it's, for me, I'd sum it up as all the stuff that's about the black perspective in America and what it means for Sam to take up the mantle after Steve Rogers had it and to be like the first black man to be handed the shield. All of that stuff and the journey he goes on and the different perspectives he learns, like he learns Isaiah's perspective and he learns, like, do you know what I mean? The government have had a black Captain America before, essentially, and they swept them under the rug. And then for him to, in Madripoor, say, I shouldn't have just put the shield in a museum, I should have destroyed it. But then to come around and sort of say, like, oh, this pain cannot define me or my people, and I need to, like, be this symbol and keep fighting. Cut to an incredible Rocky training montage in the last episode. That was me riding high at the end of the last episode, seeing all that stuff, and then seeing him open the briefcase. I was like, the last episode is going to be fantastic. And it didn't quite live up to the promise.
You didn't get to really flex those. He did that big training. When you're watching Rocky, you have that big training, and then you get the fight that delivers it. We didn't get that. We didn't have that. We had that montage for what he saved a couple. Do you know what I mean? It wasn't. It didn't feel like anything significant it was for. Do you see what I'm saying?
And I don't think it. Sorry, go on.
No, go on.
I was just going to bounce off and say, like, I agree with you, because I don't think the shield throwing in the episode when he was actually Captain America didn't feel like it had as much power and speed as when he was throwing it at the trees last episode. Last episode, when he was flinging it and flipping and stuff, I was like, this next week's going to go off, and it didn't. The only good action scene, like truly good, I would say, in the whole season was the opening in the desert. 100%. That was fantastic.
Brilliant. But yeah, I agree with you, mate. I think the Sam stuff has been the best stuff throughout the show. The Falcon Captain America stuff has been the best thing throughout. And now in reflection, obviously I'd like to rewatch them all together, but now in reflection, it kind of feels like everything around that has been a bit weak. Like, even, like, I've liked some of the Bucky stuff, but even he felt a bit like, I don't know, they didn't really do anything as a duo this week. Do you know what I mean? And like, it didn't feel like they were a team as much.
They were just both in the plot.
Like
It didn't feel like Bucky and Falcon as a team. It felt like Sam was off doing his thing, Bucky was off doing his thing, the Flag Smashers were off doing their thing, John Walker comes in. Do you know what I mean? Like, it just felt like different players around the city. It didn't feel like this is the duo. I was really disappointed as well, because one of the posters they released in the lead up to this episode had Bucky on the bike and Falcon above him with the wings, and I just thought, that's gonna be sick. Like, we're gonna see them like weaving through the city together, being a team, and it just didn't quite happen.
Yeah, I agree. It was just it's a shame, because there's things obviously that I really liked. Obviously, that Falcon costume, that Captain America costume, is more delicioso. It's fantastic. It's beautiful. It's exactly what we wanted. But then, like, I feel like he didn't really get many moments with, to express that new suit. I mean, obviously he had that fantastic speech that he gives in front of all the news and the bald people, whoever they are.
Those characters, I guess.
The government. That was like a great scene. Again, the best stuff in the episode. But it's just weird. It's like everything around that has been, I just found a bit weak this episode. And it's kind of made me look back at other stuff throughout the season and feel like, I didn't really come together like I hoped it would.
It needed to end well. Like, for example, stuff like the Flag Smashers and John Walker, it needed to end well for that stuff to feel like earned. And because it hasn't ended well, I'm now looking back at it like, like him killing that guy, it doesn't feel like that was much of a big deal now. Do you know what I mean? It just all of it felt like set up to get people where they needed to be. Like, now John Walker is US agent. now Falcon's
It
Captain
did
America.
feel
And
set up.
it was cool, don't get me wrong, to see the title change at the end, Captain America and the Winter Soldier. I'm really happy about
great.
that, and I'm really happy about where everyone's positions now. And
I
I'm
agree.
excited for a second season. I just think it's unfortunate this season that the character work and the introspective journeys between Sam and Bucky and the friendship that's kind of been created, because they're not really friends, are they, before this? They're Steve Rogers' friend, and they're both grieving the loss of their friend. And I thought it was really interesting at the start of the season to go a bit more morose and go, they're not going to be buddy cop quipping. They're going to be actually at odds with each other, and Sam and Bucky have both got like a little bit of learning to do to get to the stage where they're at in the last episode, where they're actually apologising to each other and sort of talking very openly and honestly. But then the antagonists have not matched that writing, I feel like, and the action has not matched that writing. It's been a lot of like choppy close-ups, and do you know what I mean? Like, it's very TV fights. Apart from that first fight, even when you had GSP this episode, like Charlie, I know you're a GSP fanboy, and you were hyped as hell when he said, "I want to kill the Falcon" in the last episode, and then this week, like, what was that? What was that?
What was the point? He just got shot out. He didn't really have much of a little couple of kicks with Falcon, and then he fucked off and tried to save the helicopter. It was a bad fight scene. On a kind of like, I don't know, kind of a side mission, it felt. Like, why is the Captain America on a side mission saving the helicopter? Why is he not on the ground with John Walker? And it kind of made me feel a bit... It's annoying because I feel like I'm being really negative now, but I think it's because this disappointed me, this episode. And maybe it'll take some time to sort of reflect, because it's always hard doing something, doing a podcast straight after watching the episode.
Yes,
you have thoughts later on. But I do think that it's making me look back and think, was there too many cooks? Do you know what I mean? Like, we've got John Walker, the Flag Smasher, Zemo, and we've got to do the buddy cop stuff, you know, to sell, obviously, that these guys are friends. Because I never really felt they had a moment, like you said, they didn't have a moment together on this final episode. There should have been an awesome moment when they were fighting together. Do you know what I mean? This is what we was building up to. Whereas it kind of was like, oh yeah, it kind of, everything felt a bit underwhelming. Do you know what I mean? There was no moments. There was no real stand-up moments other than character-driven moments with Sam taking up the mantle of Captain America. Would you agree with that?
I would agree. And also, I'm happy that Zemo came along, in terms of, I really enjoyed that trio, and I enjoyed how much Zemo pressed both of them on the notions of power and taking the super soldier serum and all that sort of stuff. That was all great.
Definitely.
But I do think what it perhaps robs the season of is time for just the two of them to be alone doing a mission.
I agree.
Do you know what I mean? It became the trio, which, you know what? I'm fine with it becoming the trio. Hobbs and Shaw is made better by Vanessa Kirby. You know what I mean? Like, the three of them together. You know, I like my Hobbs, I like my Shaw, but also, you know, Vanessa Kirby completes the trio. So I thought we were going to get that with Sam, Bucky and Zemo. But of course, when he then gets arrested and drops completely out of the show, save for one scene this week, which was cool. Getting his butler, as if he's Batman, to do his dirty work for him.
He's like a bad version of Batman, isn't he?
He is.
Literally.
But like, if he's going to drop out of the last episode, then I don't feel like it was really that worth it. And also, like, I like the idea of Sharon Carter Breaking Bad, but again, Sharon Carter has been underutilized in every single appearance in the MCU, and I thought this time it's 6 hours. They're going to finally do her justice, but no, they've given her the short stick again. I'm hoping next season she's going to have more to do. It would be cool if she sort of becomes the main antagonist.
Yes, becomes like almost like the Robert Redford in the Winter Soldier. That kind of role. It'd be interesting to see. Hopefully, that is something that they expand upon and make her a bit more. Because they had some really cool stuff with her at the start, where they were trying to make, you know, that I love the whole idea that she's been trapped in Madripoor and, you know, she can't come back because of everything. But like you said, it didn't really go anywhere. I guess it was a lot of it, like you said, is setting up for that next season. Which is weird now, because I thought at first it felt like it was going to be its own sort of 6-hour movie, but now it started off and we were like, oh man, this is like movies on TV. What the hell's going on? And then it slowly, as each episode become more and more TV.
But do you not think it's kind of similar to WandaVision? I think what the problem is, in terms of the problem, is similar to WandaVision for me. Both finales became more action orientated, and I think when the TV MCU becomes more action orientated, it becomes more visible that it's TV. Do you know what I mean? Like this episode, I was aware every time they were kind of on a bit of a set, and it was like TV fighting, and I didn't feel that in the opening episodes of WandaVision or the opening episodes of this, because they were more character driven. It was more about the conversations they were having, and that all felt like it was like the movies. But I think when we get to like the big set piece battles in New York, like, do you know what I mean? Like, it is bold to do your MCU TV show and make the finale a New York finale after we've had like Avengers and Homecoming and all this stuff, where they've really used the scope of the city to create like these exhilarating sequences. I just don't feel like we got that here, and I feel like it's exacerbated by the fact that it's set in New York, because you're comparing it to the previous stuff. You're also, things like, you're comparing Batroc the Leaper's fight in this episode to the fight on the Lemurian Star in Winter Soldier. Yeah, because it's like, that fight is fantastic. It's shot in beautiful wides. You can see everything that's going on. Like, you feel the strength and power. You buy that Batroc is trained enough to take on a super soldier. In this episode, two normal guys had a fist fight, and it was worse than watching Mackie take on Frank Grillo.
Yeah, it's true. But do you think it's to do with, okay, obviously that, like we said, it was edited weird. Some of the fights weren't delivered as well. But do you also think it's because this is how I feel, like, kind of like the writing in terms of the emotion behind the fights, because that's what's important. The fights need to tell the story. They need to have the emotion. They need to reveal the character through them. And I felt like these actions, they just sort of fizzled by. Do you know what I mean? Or like they were intercut with like other things that didn't allow you to spend the time in that moment. Yeah. Do you see what I'm trying to say? Like, you'd have this moment where you're like, oh, okay, and then it would cut away. Or like, never gave you enough time to sit with the facial expressions of the people having the fight. There was no emotion in it. It was just like, oh, here's a punch, here's a kick. Now we cut to what this person's doing. Do you know what I mean? There was no like emotional thrust, it felt, with... Do you know what I'm trying to say? With that? And I think that's why it didn't work so much.
Last week, even though I didn't think it was shot particularly well, I thought the fight between John Walker and Falcon Winter Soldier was good. Example. Because the moments I remember are not the kind of the weird cuts to wides when we're in the heart of the action. The stuff I remember is, I'm Captain America, ripping off the wings, like almost killing Sam, like, you know, the actual hard-hitting stuff. I think it felt like the episode wanted to get the action over and done with this week, so that we could move to the good scenes of Sam giving the council what for and going, hang on a minute, Karli died for this, you need to be better, and then for him to go and talk to Isaiah and take him to the museum. That was all like the top tier writing that I expected from the other episodes. But in terms of the actual like the action plotting of the episode, what's the threat? What's John Walker going to do? What are the Flag Smashers going to do? How is Sam going to stop them? All of that was really weak, I thought.
Non-existent. Non-existent. Yeah. I had no worry that they weren't going to solve this scenario. And obviously, you know, people can go, oh, because you know the superhero's going to do it anyway. But that's not the point. You still need to sell to me that, you know, oh, they're on the back foot. I never felt that at all. It just felt like they're ready. They're just going to smash them up, and then we're going to get to the character stuff to wrap that up and make, you know, solidify Sam as Captain America.
I just think as well, like, I like the whole theme across the season of everyone is jonesing for super soldier serum because they think that's what's going to make them the perfect hero. And Zemo says, you know, that's 1 in a million, power corrupts, and Sam is the perfect hero to reject that. And I like all that, but I feel like in terms of Falcon Cap as an ongoing action staple in the MCU, he needs a bit more to play with. Because, like, in this episode, yes, he's got no super soldier serum, but he's still got, like, jets and wings and a shield and stuff, and I just feel like his combat could have been far more dynamic than what it was. Like, that moment when he jetpacks with the shield into Batroc, I thought that was just so flimsy. And to me, I feel like the way you should be doing it is like the way Iron Man, like, shunts over to someone. You need to give him... If you're going to make him a tech-based... Yeah, and a little bit of oomph. It was lacking that oomph. All the fight scenes were lacking oomph.
I agree.
And it's just like, I think you could have given him the serum and still kept those themes intact.
Yes, I agree.
Because, like, the reason why Steve Rogers takes the serum and isn't corrupted is because he understands the value of power. And I feel like we've proven that Sam unequivocally understands that. And I don't think him getting the serum would make him that bad man. Like, that's the whole point, right? So it just seems weird that we've gotten to this stage, and I don't think he's ever going to get it now. Do you know what I mean?
No, yeah.
Like, it's too late, really. It would be weird now. But it's just a shame. Like, I think they've got to definitely upgrade his capabilities. Like, there was some cool moments, but like as well, he gets the suit from Wakanda. Why is it not a bit more like nanotechy, or like are the wings not nanotechy, or like why has he not been given like the kinetic energy absorption stuff from them, or like is the suit not going to be a bit more nanotechy? I don't know. I just feel like
or something. Yeah, something.
If you're going to go down that road, you need to prove to me that this Captain America could take on all the same challenges that the previous one could. And currently, I just feel like he's just going to get creamed in certain situations. He's very interesting in terms of like saving the people in the helicopters and stuff. He's quite dynamic in that way. Like you can use Red Wing and all these different sorts of gadgets. But I think in terms of the meat and potatoes of the Captain America series, which is the hand-to-hand combat, I don't think it's really delivered yet. But also, what's frustrating about that to me is I feel like Mackie can do it.
Yeah, 100%.
Do you know what I mean? He's athletic. He's in shape. Like we've seen him kick ass so many times in the MCU. So I don't. Yeah, exactly. I guess they're still working out the kinks, aren't they, with the shield and with Falcon Cap.
The only thing I was thinking when I was watching it was there's a part of me that does kind of like the aspect of, obviously Steve was a very small guy before, and then obviously he gets the super soldier and he gets big. I did kind of like the idea. I was thinking about this. I was like, I do kind of like that. Falcon, Captain America is kind of he's not that strong, but like when he's pushing the truck up. And everyone was looking. I kind of felt it was like that Rocky thing of like, but he doesn't give up. Do you know what I mean? He's got that Captain America thing of like, he can do this all day sort of thing.
Yeah.
And I kind of like that aspect. I quite like that. But like you said, it does feel like, well, he's the lead and it's going to feel like Bucky's doing all the heavy lifting when it comes to like the next season or something, or whenever they're coming up against like bigger threats. Do you see what I'm saying?
Yeah.
But yeah. I liked all the character stuff. That's the thing. I feel like it comes across like we're being negative, but it's because I think it disappointed on a what was it all coming to scale. But on a smaller character-driven scale, I really liked everything. Like you said, everything with Sam. Yeah, it was brilliant.
And I am excited to binge it. There's a lot of things that were set up early on, a lot of conversations they had that I think are paid off very nicely in episodes 5 and 6. And I do think as a complete package, it'll probably be more enjoyable. Even though I have loved watching it week to week. I prefer watching things week to week. I think you get more time to focus on each chapter. There's no rush to binge it to avoid spoilers. I'd much prefer it. And also, what is this, week 15 of us watching a Disney Plus MCU show? And that's been really nice. It's been nice to have that steady stream of content. Rather than like, oh, here's 9 hours of WandaVision we got to review. And then we're going to wait a month, and here's 6 hours of Falcon Winter Soldier.
Yeah, no, exactly, because it kind of feels, especially now when the cinemas are not open and stuff, and we're lacking content to watch and stuff. I think it's great because it keeps that conversation going in the zeitgeist. When you have a show that's bingeable, you binge it, everyone speaks about it for the first 2 weeks, and then it kind of fizzles out. Do you know what I mean? Whereas I like that it's been a continuing conversation throughout the past 5 weeks.
So if you could sum up the Falcon Winter Soldier, perhaps, with the caveat that your thoughts may change over time, and I think we both need some time to sit on it and perhaps rewatch it. But what would be your summation of the season?
Okay, right. So all the stuff with Sam, I thought was phenomenal. Some of the best Falcon we've ever seen. I love all of that stuff about him taking the costume up. I love the stuff with Isaiah. The the questions of what does it mean to be a black Captain America. I thought that all of that was amazing. I thought that's brilliant, and the best stuff in the series. And it gave me things I didn't know I wanted, like, and made me ask questions I didn't think about in the world of the Marvel universe. And I really enjoyed that. I liked the John Walker stuff as well. I always felt a bit not sure about the Flag Smasher stuff, and then now it kind of it was cool to see the themes, the parallels between Sam and Flag Smasher, and him empathize, and then obviously have that great bit in this episode where he says, you know, they're just terrorists. You never ask why. You give them these names, and you never ask why and why they're doing these things. I thought that was brilliant, and I like how that come together. But it does feel like to me now, looking back, there's a lot of stuff where I was like, what was the point of that? What did that need to be there? Do you know what I mean? As much as I enjoyed seeing Zemo do all these things, how much did we really need him here? I felt like Bucky and Sam had that great moment last week, yet this week it kind of, we never got to see them flex that friendship. That, you know, what's this new bond given to them as a fighting duo? And that kind of, I found a bit disappointing. It's tough because, you know, I loved the stuff really early on. I thought that was all brilliant. I did enjoy the scene. I've enjoyed watching it week to week. I've enjoyed like all the character stuff. Like I said, it's been brilliant. And not what I was expecting. I was expecting it to be, you know, buddy cop, fun romp, you know, and then fighting, kicking ass. But I quite like that we got this character driven and this bigger questions and bigger ideas and important messages that had to be said. I liked that. But at the moment, it kind of feels like I'm just a little bit dissatisfied. I'm a little bit, you know, unsatisfied with this ending. And like you said, I think I need to take some time to chew on it before I can really collect my thoughts to this. I mean, I might go back on things that I'm saying now, I don't know. But that's how I feel right now. Mackie gave me all the goodies. He delivered from character to everything. But everything else, I'm not quite sure about at this moment in terms of how we ended. How do you feel about that?
I pretty much agree with you, word for word. And there's so many things that I'm almost looking back on now. Like the John Walker stuff, I think starts off so strong, and it's nuanced and it's interesting. And then this episode
fizzles.
It's completely fizzled out. And the Flag Smashers, you're right. Like it was always fiddly, and it got to the point this week where like I feel like the things Karli was saying was almost like parody level. Like the movement cannot be stopped. It's okay if we die. Like the movement will continue. It's like, what is the movement really? Like, do you know what I mean? It's not really like clear. Again, reshoots. I'm not sure how much we can really blame them for this. But
it's that Jackie Chan thing. As much as you can, you know, I guess it's research and all that, but you know, like Jackie Chan says, you know, if it was raining on set that day, and you shot when it was raining and didn't shoot the next day when it wasn't raining, you're not going to go around to every cinema explaining, oh, but we couldn't because of the rain. Like, do you know what I mean? Like the movie of it is, the TV show is there. That's it. We have to judge it on what it is. Do you know what I mean?
I agree. I agree completely.
Sympathetic.
I agree with you. I just think I need to give it a bit of leeway for when we break down this particular situation of it was written and shot and almost completed with a virus plotline, and it was set to come out the same year the entire world got thrown into a crisis with a killer virus. So like, do you know what I mean? Like in terms of the chips stacked against them, like, I don't think it could have been any tougher for them to string together a storyline. Do you know what I mean? So, you know, I agree with you, and I agree with Mr. Chan, the legend. but yeah, I have to cut them a bit of slack, but not too much slack because it was still quite weak.
Yes.
Overall as a season, as a Captain America fanboy, you know, I've wanted Mackie to take up the shield since day one. It's never made sense to me, people wanting Bucky in the MCU to be Captain America. Like, he's a fugitive. Never made sense. He's an assassin. Like, it doesn't make sense that anyone would ever give him that shield. And I think his journey is not about that. And I think it's been very smart to take him in a different direction. Mackie, on the other hand, and Sam Wilson, I think, have always screamed next Captain America since 2014, both in the comics and with the casting of Anthony Mackie. So that's been great to see. And I think they've really nailed all of that stuff. I mean, I'm excited to see where it goes. But it's not quite been the best of the MCU, which I felt like there was a couple of moments in those first 2 episodes where I thought they're really going to bring this home.
Yeah, so did I.
And it's overall, taking everything into account, it's good, but I don't know if it's breaking that top 5, top 10 of the MCU. Do you know what I mean?
I agree. And yeah, it's tough because I feel right now at this moment I might I don't know, I might eat my words later, because I do really like the Sam stuff, and I love that stuff. I thought that stuff was brilliant and top tier and really good. And I think that's what I kind of find frustrating about this is that I feel like there was something so good here. It just needed all the rest. It could have been as special as we thought it was going to be when we watched those first 2 episodes, and it just kind of didn't quite. And it wasn't quite as clear, as well structured as I would say like WandaVision was. I must admit. As much as I, do you know what I mean? As much as I love this. I love the moments, the character moments in this. I feel like as a beginning to end, I know obviously we're gonna have another season, and obviously WandaVision seems like it's more of a one-off sort of thing. It just felt a bit more well structured and paced. Do you know what I'm trying to say?
Yeah. I feel
now
like
in reflection, but maybe I'll beat my words later when I sit and think about it. But
I think Falcon and the Winter Soldier had more to say, and I think at its best. I think at its best, it was more eloquent and more thought-provoking than anything in WandaVision. I agree. But I think WandaVision...
That, yes.
I know I'm spitting your fire. I know I'm spitting your language right now.
You know. The hive
I know the deal. Yeah, but like as an overall package, as an overall structure, and in terms of the constant threat and the development of those threats, I think WandaVision was much better at that. But then there was nothing. What I loved about the discourse around Falcon Winter Soldier is, you look on things like Twitter and Instagram and YouTube, all the conversations that the show wanted us to have were being had, for better or for worse, and all the discourse of what's the cameo going to be? Is Magneto going to pop up? Is so and so going to pop up? Like there was none of that, and I know, partly. People are us to blame for that stuff because we obviously spoke about things like Magneto coming up and all that stuff. But
of course,
But it's a two-way street because the show and the discourse became so enraptured with WandaVision about, who's going to pop up at the end of the next episode? What's this going to happen? No. What does this mean? And I'm just happy that all that stuff didn't happen this time around.
Yeah, and I'm happy that no actor tweeted saying that there's going to be a Luke Skywalker tier cameo that never happened.
Well, we got Luke Skywalker in this show every episode, didn't we? We got Sebastian Stan.
Oh yes, we did. That is true.
So you didn't need your Luke Skywalker cameo. You got Luke Skywalker right there, baby.
Exactly. Ready to go. Just sign him up.
Oh, just put him in the wig, give him the saber. He's right there. It's right there.
He's
done.
He's ready.
Oh, magnifique. Before we go, Terry. Well, actually, there's 2 things I want to talk about. But before we go, the first thing, Terry's got her review here of the episode. First half was weak sauce. Second half was great work. Acting throughout the whole series has been a masterclass. Disappointing to see John Walker seemingly redeemed when he didn't do anything redeemable. I agree with that. Heart eyes for Bucky Barnes always. Until you can hold bear kids up with your metal arm, you will not be my perfect man. Damn. I'm trying.
Okay, bro. I'm trying.
You're dumped, Matt. I don't ever want to hear from you again. What?
That's why she isn't on the podcast. It all makes sense now.
Oh, but yeah, no, that's Terry's review. I agree with all of that.
Yeah, pretty much. Yeah.
So without further ado, there's nothing left, and it's time for the end of the podcast. But wait! Charlie Lilly, our UFC expert. Someone actually commented that on the last video in quotation marks, implying that
I
you're
can't
actually...
believe you said that. Oh, it's so hilarious. UFC expert. Where is this credential? Where is this?
You're a fan that often likes to talk about it and talk about martial arts, and
Yes.
without tooting your horn too much, you know your stuff. There's no need to be embarrassed by that, And I'm not saying that you walk around thinking you're some Bruce Lee expert martial artist, but I think you know a fair bit. I think you should be humble and take that on. And
I find it. I get very embarrassed about it. I find it a very difficult thing to talk
no,
about.
I understand.
I was concerned of coming across like do you know what I mean? So it's
I see that
it's
like
not the essence of what I represent.
Yeah, and me as the non-fan going, China knows everything about UFC. To people that know about UFC, like to the same level as you, they're probably just sat there going, "I'll shut the fuck up." So I'm going to do that now, and I'm instead going to pass over to Charlie because I want to hear his analysis on Ben Askren. He was gonna beat Jake Paul, wasn't he? Isn't that what you said?